Alrighty. Do it. Dualtron Ultra 1. Dualtron Original Ultra. Whatever you want to. Dualtron Ultra. Nothing there. Oh, what's down here? Dualtron. Oh, nice. Nice. Alrighty. Give me mates Dualtron Ultra 1 here. Doing a first tyre change. She's owned it for about 2.5 years. How many Ks has it done? I'm going to say about 1,000 kilometres. Last time I checked. So not really too many kilometres. Done it for about 3 years. First time it's had a tyre change. We're going to rip straight into it. I've already done the back one. Now I've proceeded to take the rocker arm or the swing arm off from this side. It's an 18 and a 19 mil. I believe that's an 18 and that would be a 19 millimeter bolt. I'm using a fairly high leverage ratchet. The most important part is you want to release the air out of the split rim, because when you release the 6 bolts that bolt the rim to the motor, the hub motor, you need to release that pressure. I learnt the hard way on my Ultra 2, got a bit too gung-ho, and forgot to actually take the pressure out and had some problems obviously removing the bolts, and led to a few little incidents, but that's another story. Alrighty, so the main concern is Loctite. You know, you don't want to snap these bolts, they're quite fragile, so you want to get into a good position with good light, you know, have the time to do the job, have the tools for the job, and sort of patiently get through it. So as I've said, I've already removed this. The first time you remove it, it's going to be difficult. You need to do a bit of, you know, hard yakka, as they call it, to just sort of jiggle it off. There's these little locking tabs that you'll need to loosen up a bit, but you can tap them with a screwdriver with using a hammer on the top of the screwdriver, just to sort of loosen them, and then use some sort of flat, thin-headed leverage tool to pry off these little tabs. And once you got them off and just loose on that inside, so the washer will be removed last once the arm is removed, that will then allow you to sort of pry. I've used a small pry bar to get in between here very gently, and you know, using the correct points to pivot off. You don't want to pivot off the motor. You know, you could lightly do it, but I wouldn't recommend that at all. You just sort of want to slowly jiggle it off with your hand, and then with a hammer, you can actually tap the top of it. I mean the bottom piece here, and it'll actually sort of lift this up. But hey, if you can't get that off, that's probably a sign that you just need to, you know, get a bit more experience before you start attempting such jobs. But that's it. You're not gonna find out unless you do it yourself. So, all right. So we've got split rim design, 6 Allen key bolts, 4mm inside here. And sham. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Got a heat gun. You could use a propane torch, you could use a heat gun. You might be able to use your girlfriend's hairdryer. All I'm doing is just placing it on here. And you can sort of see don't be too concerned about the rubber or the paint. Supplying heat to the heads of these bolts, and you can actually do it to the other side through here. It's just going to ensure that any sort of Loctite, any sort of chemical compound on the bolts, just to stop them coming loose. Sometimes I use a red Loctite. I've actually used this on mine. I probably integrate over the 3 years of owning it, and obviously being in the elements a bit more than normal. Or it's just been used nicely. So you're going to apply at least, I reckon, about 2 minutes of heat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my tool. I'm using a 4mm 3/8 drive ratchet. Just going to leave it like that. I'm going to try and crank this, holding it centered. You don't want to flex this at all. One, nice. That's loose. I'm going to attempt the other. It's tight because it hasn't heated up that part yet. That one loose. So that one's sort of loose and heated up. No flex on it, see? I'm holding it straight, pressure on the tool, pushing forward, using the center to turn. Alright, that's nice. These ones need a bit more heating up. Something like this, you don't want to start hanging off to get more leverage off center, because that's just going to only cause flex through the tool, and that's going to potentially snap the head of the bolt, which is going to be very, very disappointing. There's definitely ways to fix it. I might make a video on that. I'm sure there's other videos out there with the skills that are required to remove a stripped or snap bolt. You rather it snap the head of it off cleanly, or the bolt cleanly, so you can just remove it and then use a vice grip to, also using heat if you need, to slowly inch it out. It can be good just to leave the heat gun on. So you never want to force any of these bolts. You want to use quality tools. Don't use anything bigger than this. If you don't have the strength to turn it like that. Just be very gentle. Go outside a bit further on the bar. Alright, so I think they're all loose. You know. Beautiful. And they're beautiful. And turn the heat gun off. Just wind these out. So yeah, this Dualtron's done over 1,000 Ks. My Ultra 2 has done about 1,200 Ks, and I've owned it for probably under 3 months versus over 3 years. So you can sort of see just the different use. But this will be a bit of an example of how over time moisture and environmental factors can just cause a little bit of oxidization on your parts, and nothing that really can't be fixed. It just sort of shows the age, and also the bushings, a bit more creaking. So I suppose that could be associated with just how long it's been in the element compared to my 3-month-old Ultra 2. You can see we're just getting these bolts out. We've got one out there, another one down there. My Ultra 2 had Loctite from factory, which I think they all do, but because it was just probably so fresh, and I changed them pretty much straight away to get the road tyres instead of the off-road tyres, which is a big suggestion. Helps with the acceleration, helps with how smooth it sort of accelerates. It's not so chirpy, but it does sort of have its limiting factor off-road. A bit dangerous on wet grass. You really need to be careful when using the on-road tyres, and even the road tyres. Off-road, sorry. Alright, so here we go. We get this into it. Boom. Now that they're loose, you can be a bit more gun-ho. So where you can make up your time. If you sort of don't want to spend too much time doing things, you just always make sure you do the right steps first. That will make you have an easier job. Here we go. So I've heard the rim just come off. The back rim, the split rim, the inside one was actually sort of seized onto the motor, the hub motor. So I'm curious to see if this one comes off completely, because it's a 2-piece rim. There we go, 6 bolts. CST, so it come out on the Jultrons. So this Ultra One, the split rim design has a lip on it, where the Ultra 2 doesn't have a lip. At least the ones that we got, it's more of a different design, which I'll actually show you a bit later in the video. I've got some spare parts laying around. Yeah, so we got that off. Boom. That's good. This is what I was talking about the seizing up on it. Look at that. Actually, doesn't want to come off. That's the other part of the room. Unless that isn't... It's not meant to come off, I don't think. Interesting. It's actually part of the motor. Interesting. Lucky I didn't hit it too hard when I tried to take it off. Okay, we're going to do this quick. This is the tyre we're putting on them, the road tyres. We'll see a nice improvement, I think. It's pretty much as simple as getting a bit more pressure out of the valve, the tube. The hot air's increased the pressure, I believe. Boom. Be sort of gentle here. Push that through there. The valve. Boom. Don't rip too hard. Probably still a bit too much air in it. Alright, boom. It's a directional tyre. My guess is that's facing forward. So it's as simple as making sure there's nothing inside here. That's got a little bit of a roughness to it, a bit of oxidization on the alloy. Nothing too bad, but you know, you could polish them up. You could replace maybe, well, by the looks of it, you have to replace the motor if you crack one of these, or if that's just seized on there so well that that does come off, but it looks like it's one piece. Directional. Just want to make sure there's no sharp edges on it. It's going to pop your thing, you know, you could clean it up, fix it. Boom, tube in. Boom, boom. Bang. This here. The other one, pop that out. Pop that there. Okay, boom. Make sure that's in there nicely. Not gonna get pinched. Make sure there's no little dirt inside here, so when you put it back on, it's not going to clamp up properly. It looks all pretty good. This part can be a little bit annoying. I'm going to put a very light amount of this shit on. Now, because we have really have a light set up here. So you can see that I'm going to need to push the rim, the tyre, sort of in one sort of motion to clamp it together, to get enough force to get these bolts in. Just going to be careful not to round them off, not to strip the threads, but you just sort of inch by inch. I like to use the valve as a little bit of a push-up. slowly but surely increasing the amount of tension on the bolts. They don't need much at all, that's why I said don't hang off that. And don't fucking start doing that shit, you'll break it. Once they're tight, they're tight. They're designed to be tight, and they don't come loose. That's why you use Loctite as well. So slowly in a little star pattern, making sure you're inserting the tool in correctly each time, tightening them up. I'd like to keep cranking them until I'm satisfied that the torque is suffice. Now that's not what to do. See me sort of slip off the bolt there, that's what you don't want to do. But that wraps it up for the video. Dualtron Ultra 1, Ultra 2, tyre replacement. Thanks for watching.